So you've got the kit. Let's talk about how to use it. I mean, you wrote it. How do you think people should use it?
I think it's like intuitive. If you want to do it like process by process, if that's more your shtick, I would say do it that way. For me personally, my brain doesn't work like that. So I very much use it as like that day I might just need like an affirmation, or I might want an activity, or I might like be in a like I need to like sit down and write and journal and like process some stuff.
There are a few different sections. Yeah,
yes.
Can you speak to what they are and how they might be used? Like say for example, grow. Like
Grow.
what's this one all about?
The process and like the grow, they're more of that like introspection, which is why we have the journal, like writing things out. Or talking it through with a friend or whatever. And then you've got something like your emergency care, which is like when, especially at the beginning of a breakup, when you can't do anything. You can't do anything. There's nothing to be done except for just
I need
survive.
someone else to tell me.
Yeah. For me personally, like what inspired the emergency care cards is like when I'm in that heightened state at the beginning of a breakup, and I just need like a sense of like reassurance. And like a sense of like, oh, someone else has felt this way before and they're okay. Like me, I wrote the cards and I'm fine. And I've been to the pits of hell many times in breakups. So it's like you pick that up to kind of like feel reassured in that moment. And like everything might be okay. And then you've got like tools and activities, which is maybe for, you know, those days where you have a bit more energy and you are feeling like you want to do something like either like physical or like out in the world, you know? It's where we're after like the first month's passed and you're like, wait, I'm ready to like, it's like unlocking a level.
Yeah.
Of like a game.
Yeah.
You're unlocking the next level, which is like, go hang out with someone.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how they're structured. Some more introspection, some more I'm in need of immediate care, some more just like reassuring and like learning, which is where you came in to help with like those cards, like actual things of like learning like what grief is and what's happening in the brain, which I think always helps you feel like you're in control of these feelings. But you also need like the time and space and like the nervous system to be okay in order to actually listen, like read and take that in.
Yeah.
And then you've got your tools and activities to use all that knowledge and go and be in the world as a single person.
Yeah, I feel like the educational element or like the learning element here could feel really validating, because when we're going through a breakup, often we might be so confronted by how painful it is, and we might be thinking like, this pain is so intense. Has anyone ever felt like this before? Why do I feel like I can't get out of bed? And those prompts kind of make sense of it. Like, this may be why you are reacting like this, or this may be why your attachment style is flared up. And I often don't see breakups spoken about in this way. Like breakups can often be like really trivialized, or there's a need to like get over them quickly.
Yeah, and I think genuinely like what inspired me to originally talk about breakup a lot, and then like when you guys came to me, what made me be like, yes, like this is something I want to do, is because when I went through my first big heartbreak, which was back in like 2021, I genuinely thought I was gonna die. I was like, I'm gonna die. Like I've never felt pain like this in my life.
And like physical pain
And like panic over like how intense the feelings were. And every time I would look for information, like I couldn't sleep. I would stay up all night, like just looking for someone to tell me I was gonna be okay, or tell me something to do, or like what was going on, or like that someone else had felt this bad before. Because I was like, something's like wrong with me. Like no one, because every time I would see anything about breakups, it was like, you know, like just get together with the girls and have a wine. Or like, you know what I mean? Or like go to a party, or like get on dating apps,
lose weight,
hot. It felt very like, I was like, no one actually feels like this, like something is actually wrong with me, because everyone else feels a bit sad, eats a tub of Ben and Jerry's, and then is like, woo, I'm single, and I was like, I can't eat, I can't even like go to the toilet, I'm crawling there, like, you know what I mean? I was like, huh? And then obviously I spoke to other people, and people were like, no, like I've been there, or I found like very, very like niche people talk about it, and I'd be like, oh my God. And so then I started to create that, because I was like, if I'm feeling this desperate need to be told I'm like gonna be okay, or that like it's normal to like not be okay after a week, then other people would feel like that. And so that's why I always have been inspired to talk about breakups, because yeah, they can like really screw you up, like, and make you feel so debilitated in like fear and anxiety and like sadness. The pop culture talks about maybe like the aftermath of that, which is like going to the party, but not the initial like, what do I do with this, and how do I make sense of this, and how do I like work through this, and like how do I feel okay?
Yeah, because there's, I mean, obviously friends and community and loved ones are really important, but I also know that when you're going through a breakup, there are lots of times where you're alone. Like in one of my breakups, I used to wake up at 3 a.m. every morning, and I'd be like, it would be unhinged to call someone right now, but I feel so distressed, and I feel like having something like this, because it actually does feel like, you know, it's got your voice in it. It feels like a friend, or it feels like someone who like really cares, to be able to have a resource that I could have turned to in that sort of few hours of the morning where I felt like I really couldn't reach out to anyone.
Yeah, and you can't, I think it's really hard though, because I find like similar of like when I'm in that heightened state, talking to people really helps, which is great. Everyone should do that. Like that's what helps so much to get through stuff like that, any sort of grief. But like, yeah, you can't always have someone on tap like all the time. But for me anyway, the experience was, as soon as I wasn't talking about it or talking to someone, was when I would start to get like really worked up and like quite distressed. And what I found personally, which is why a lot of these I turned into journal prompts in the end, is because something that really helped regulate me when I was in that heightened state was writing, because it felt like being in like therapy or something, and just like getting it, you just gotta kind of like get it out, like it's like purging, and like start to make sense of like what's happened and what you've learned, and then you can kind of, I don't know, for me anyway, instill a sense of like hope. Like when I feel like I'm talking about it or being productive with like the grief through something like journaling, it helps sift through it, and then I get this sense of like a little tinge of hope, which is like enough to just like carry you.
Yeah, even if it's just like,
it's a little bit, it just like carries you enough through to be like, okay, like maybe I will be okay. Like, maybe I will be okay. Maybe. That's all you need. Sometimes all you need is a maybe.
And these are, I think, you know, the intention of them is really, you know, for a solo use or to have something that you can turn to on your own. But you can also use these with your friends. Like, the friends who don't necessarily know what to say, or are feeling a bit overwhelmed, or maybe...
sometimes you twin break up with a friend.
So
sometimes
true.
a bunch of the friend group are going through it, and these like even us before, we were pulling a few cards and just ended up like yapping about even like our love life and like what we're like, because I think some of the cards, even if you're like over a breakup or over a person or whatever, the pain still sits. Like if I can get triggered to past breakups, or I can be like, I'm over the situation, and then all of a sudden I'm like sifting through old feelings about something, even though I'm completely moved on in my life. Like that's a really universal thing as well. And I think again, we're like taught that like you break up and you move on and you don't speak about it again, but it's like, but that everything shapes who you are. Relationships with people, and especially romantic ones, because they're so attached to like that sort of like your original like attachment and whatever. I think these cards, like I know I'm personally, I'm not going through a breakup right now in this very moment, and I know that I will probably like bring these to a dinner party, because I think some of the questions with the process and grow, you can still get a lot from them, even if your breakup was like way back and you're not in that day-to-day like struggle. You know,
that's such a good point, because there is often this idea of timing and like how quickly you should get over it, or how quickly you should process it. But even if you're not in the sort of acute pain and your breakup was years ago, actually, you know, maybe now is the time that you can go through this and process and reflect on it, because as we say so much, like a breakup is a process, and it isn't something that has a, you know, hard, well, it might have a hard beginning, but not necessarily like a hard end, and it's okay if you're still doing this weeks, months, or years on.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's like the biggest thing too, is like people always talk about, again, that pop culture like timeline. Like I think it's like remember when I was younger hearing the like, it's half the time of the relationship. And I remember in my first ever big acute heartbreak being like, okay, and following it. And then I got to the halfway mark and I was like, huh? wait, okay, so I am gonna be stuck like this forever. And then, you know, you get out of like, because before that I remember I got out of like a 2-year relationship and I was able to process it quite, like, it wasn't as like painful, like, you know, there's no such thing, like some things just really get under your skin, some things don't, and I think these cards are great for also sifting through that as well. Like, again, if you broke up with someone like, I don't know, a year ago and, you know, you've completely moved on, but there's still little things that niggle at you and you can't quite understand why, generally some of the like process and grow cards, just sit and journal with them or bring them to the pub with your friends and be like, let's talk about our past relationships because I got some stuff I need to sift through. They're great prompts to get you to like talk about why am I still holding on to that thing that doesn't affect me like day to day, like I'm fine, but like it comes up with this relationship I had 2 years ago. I think like I'm like the cards are made for that as well, you know.
I didn't even think of that as a great point, but that's fucking
more
great.
people just
More. It's for everyone basically. Should we pull a card?
Okay.
Let's
pull a card.
What truth did you ignore before that you can now honor?
Why did I write this card?
Yeah.
This card is, you know, like when you meet someone or you fall head over heels or you see things, it's like, I guess what the girly pops would call the red flags. I don't really like that term necessarily, but I think it's the things where you know something about a situation or you have intuition about something or there's something that maybe doesn't align and you choose to ignore it because we're human. And maybe that's something that you could learn now moving forward to honor within yourself as like a single person, and then hopefully honor in the next time you maybe get into a romantic situation to be like, what was that thing before that I pretended like, you know, wasn't true or wasn't, you know, I think it's also semi-attached to things like values that now I've learned that lesson.
Ignoring.
And I feel like I find like falling in love or in lust or whatever and breaking up, obviously very different, but like very similar in the sense of you romanticize the whole thing. Everything is so romanticized, everything's so great. Listening to the truth of a situation and the actual truth is really important. And I think we can do that in breakups. We can sort of be like, but it was so this and that and I missed this and this, and it's like, it's great, like it's important to grieve and miss what you miss and, you know, not paint the situation as bad if it wasn't, but I think it's important to really listen to those acute things that maybe weren't right or weren't true to you, and I think it's super important to reflect on that. But yeah, that card is sort of inspired by that. Like what part of yourself did you sort of dismiss during, before, even in the breakup, that maybe it's important to listen into.
And there are other cards that are kind of similar, but maybe looking at different elements of a relationship. I know there's one about like, what were the unspoken contracts between you and what dynamics were you engaging in, but also like looking at power and, you know, what elements of power in the relationship, and also how are you feeling about power at the moment in terms of like, do you feel powerless or are you holding power? Which I think is a really important thing for us to look at, because often when we feel powerless in a breakup, but also feel powerless maybe in the choice about a relationship ending, that can be deeply distressing.
I've been there like many times, and I feel like, these sort of questions that I ask myself is how I feel like I regain that power and autonomy. Because sometimes you look at a situation and you're like, but I didn't choose to leave and I don't want it. But it's like, is it that you didn't want it to end, or you didn't have the courage for it? And also, like, if you get down and down and down and down, it's like at the end of the day, if someone doesn't want to be with you, that is enough reason to honor yourself. You know, like you deserve more than someone that doesn't want to be with you, you know?
This one is about, have you picked up an unproductive habit? Why is this important?
Well, because I remember, like, I'm such a bit of a perfectionist with like, I guess like health and wellness and like, you know, I gave up alcohol like 10 years ago, and like, I'm so just like, I've always engaged in really like healthy things, which I'm like proud of. But again, like I remember when I was going through my first ever heartbreak, I was so debilitated. Like I couldn't exercise, I couldn't even like walk, I couldn't eat, I couldn't like do anything. And I remember at the time, TMI, but like I picked up smoking, which is like really bad and it was crazy to me. Like I was like, this is not who I am. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
this is not about my identity.
Yeah. Like I'm a runner. Like, you know what I mean? And it was the only thing. It was the only thing that I could use to like regulate myself. Like genuinely, I was like, I felt like without it, I was like, I don't have anything to help. I can't do anything. And because I wasn't probably breathing properly and I was so anxious, this like nicotine vice for like a month became like the only thing I could use to regulate myself. And I got to the point where I was like, I'm gonna stop beating myself up about this. It's not, yes, it's hurting my body. It's not a forever thing. It's not like altering my state in terms of like, you know what I mean? It's not hurting anyone else. Yes, it's hurting my body right now, but I think I'm hurt in all, like, you know what I mean? Like I'm hurt anyway, like I'm screwed.
Yes.
And I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna forgive myself for this.
Yeah. Because then you add shame.
And I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. And like, you know, now, like, what does this mean for me? It's like, it doesn't mean it means that you're in survival mode. And right now that's what you've picked up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like the old saying of like, you know, picking up like a tub of like Ben and Jerry's ice cream and that, you know, it's like just eat the ice cream. If that's what you need in that moment to like binge eat ice cream for a bit in order to like soothe the nervous system to then again lock the next level of the game show.
Yeah.
Like it's fine. It's fine. I don't feel bad about it. You know?
Yeah, you're literally just getting by.
Yeah.
You're surviving.
Yeah.
Okay, what about dance break and movement as a whole?
Yeah.
Why?
And I know it's hard. Like I say that, it's like I was really cautious about writing those cards because although they're so, because all I was doing was just like, what was helpful for me? What have I done? What have I used? Like genuinely. But I was very like apprehensive about writing that card because it felt really like, again, like pop culture. Just like go for a walk.
Self-care.
Just like shake it out and you're like, I'm gonna like stick pins in my eyes. Like, what do you mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like that was the thing I always hated when I would read stuff. They're like, you know, you should just like go to the gym. And I'm like, I can't. Like I actually can't. I'm here with smoking cigarettes. So I can't. So that card is for like when you're ready or, but what inspired that is like, I remember dance music. I never really listened, now I love dance music, but I never really listened to like dance music. And I remember my brother, he like loves like techno and like all that stuff, and he sent me a playlist and like something about the BPMs like changed my life. And I would literally wake up and just like put like techno music on and it started to like make me feel better. And yeah, like dancing, I started going to like dance parties and then I started like just like dancing like home by myself, and like that was how I slowly started to incorporate movement back into my routine. And it didn't feel like I was committing to something. It didn't feel overwhelming. It didn't feel, it was purely like an act of joy, but that was also like getting my body moving. And as we all know, moving your body, it does help, even though we don't want to do it half the time. And there was something about the dancing to music which also didn't activate my nervous system, because I was finding like trying to like go for a run or go to the gym was like activating my nervous system, was sending me into a panic attack.
Yeah, wow.
And something about like the dancing like didn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what inspired that card. But essentially it's just that like finding movement that doesn't feel like movement.
Yes.
And I don't know, I think there's something about like incorporating music and music of like higher BPMs that I think is really healing to the psyche when you're not feeling great.
Yeah, and I think what I love about this deck is that you can really tell how much you're not trying to like lean into the tropes.
I know, I'm like so cautious of that.
Because there's so much of that out there, there's nothing
so much of it,
new.
and I like, the reason why I didn't want it to be like that is because genuinely when I would read that stuff, I'd be like, that's not helping me.
Yeah, I
you know?
actually can't.
Yeah,
and I think even, you know, from a like somatic therapy perspective, in terms of understanding movement for your body, and when we are in these shut down responses, it does feel painful. Like it can be like the hardest thing ever to get up and to move our body, but it can have a significant impact on how we're feeling in terms of moving out of maybe a stress or a survival response. And it's really interesting to hear you say that, like, actually running, maybe that was too upregulating.
Yeah.
And if you were dancing and moving, perhaps that tapped into into like down regulation. So down regulation is often when we slow down our breath or slow down our movement, and that can be really grounding and create safety. So it's important for all of us to think about like, yeah, maybe doing all of the up things are actually causing a stress response.
Yeah.
Do we need to do more of these down pieces? And I think that the way you've incorporated that is not lame. So well done.
Thanks.
Okay, so let's do the learn. This one is about breakups activate your attachment systems, and people may be familiar with this. I think like attachment styles are like really, popular on TikTok at the moment. And it is a theory, but often it is really important, and it has been very meaningful for people to understand their attachment styles. So basically our attachment styles, the theory suggests, are made up of our primary relationships that we've had, and often it's our connection to a primary caregiver, but it doesn't necessarily need to be just that. It could be our siblings, it could be past relationships, and so on. And there are 4 key attachment styles. There's secure, so that's basically the feeling like I feel like I can move towards someone and away from someone and it doesn't feel overwhelming or stressful. Anxious is I feel like it's never enough. I feel like I'm always like this trying to get more from you and I feel like I can't reach you. Avoidant is when we often, tap out, or we don't want to engage, we want to move ourselves away. And chaotic or disorganized is often described when there is either like big triggers or trauma responses. So we feel like we're moving towards and away, and we're feeling quite disorganized in our attachment to others. Our attachment style, they're not necessarily with us for life, and they can change, and also they can change in different dynamics, but the important thing to note is that actually they do flare up in moments of stress. So in a breakup, our attachment style might be flaring up, and I think that it's an important card for us to think about and to process on, like, why does this pain feel so deep?
Yeah.
Is this connected to a really big part of me, or is this connected to a deeper wound or a deeper trigger? Does this relate to like a past thing that I've experienced with a parent or a family member, or a past relationship? Not to invalidate or make it mean that what you're feeling right now isn't really, really big, but actually we can track and trace why we might be having these big responses.
Yeah.
Why was it important for you to include this?
Well, because I remember learning about like kind of what you're saying, like that stuff is like sometimes when the feelings are so big and so overwhelming, it can sometimes be attached to something else. And I think the closer you get to that, then I think it's better for yourself and your own sort of livelihood, but then also the next relationship you get into to like understand your triggers and like what certain things are being activated within you. Because I always found a lot of the time, like in my breakups, I'm like, what stuff is like, I don't know, I remember like getting to a point once in a breakup and being like, I actually think the breakup itself isolated, like I think I can deal with that like sadness. I think what's collapsing me into like full despair is what it's triggering inside of me. And that's a me thing. That's actually not to do with the relationship. I'm just being triggered into that. And it helped compartmentalize like in a healthy way of being like, okay, that's that and that's this, and like, but then also like then doing my own work on like what was being triggered underneath that, and then realizing, oh, I can actually get through this separation, but this separation is triggering something else in me, which is about me and my past,
Yeah, and they're all existing at once. Of course they're all
and that's
existing
why I'm
at
overwhelmed.
once. Yeah. And this other one is grief comes in waves. I think it's so important that we talk about breakups as a grieving process.
It's the hardest grief as well, because the person's
alive.
It's so much. Because when you grieve a person, you get to collectively grieve.
Yes.
Everyone's sharing stories and everyone's missing and everyone's like and it's I mean, I've been through like both. And obviously it comes with its own set of despair because there's no access at all ever again. But there is something nice in the community aspect of like you've got other people grieving with you in community and you feel held by that and in this shared experience of the longing, of the missing. But when you're going through a breakup, you're having that exact same experience of grief, but the person is alive, and all the things that you miss about them and want from them, you don't have access to, but you know that other people get access to that, and you're the only one that doesn't. And I think that is like a torturous like juxtaposition. Like when I think about that, or when I started to understand breakups and grief in that way, I was like, oh my God, no wonder it's so horrible. Because you're just like alone in this longing.
Yes.
But the person's still out there connecting with all these other people, and you know that.
Yeah. Like they're within reach, but also you
not
don't
for
have
you.
access to them. Yeah, and understanding what might be going on in the brain and body as well with grief. Often like this person, there's a super highway of our neural wirings to go to that person. So it may feel like an impulse, like I've had a bad day, an impulse to go there, or I turn over in bed and their body is usually there, or I hear our song and usually that would represent them. But it can feel really confusing when we have that sort of super highway to them and then they're no longer there, and then we feel lost and we're like, oh, well, where do I put this? Like, where do I direct that to? So grief is also a process of us rewiring that and acknowledging that they were there, but actually finding new ways for our attention or our intention to go to, because that will still feel important to connect with people, but because they're not there, it's like can feel incredibly distressing and confusing.
Yeah, and I think it almost links back to like potentially like to the attachment stuff as well, because then you get triggered into that, and then it's like, because the person is around, like what do you do with it, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a little bit of a gist on the cards. As you can see, we can see here all day. But yeah, I made these because I could have really used something like this at many points in my life. And I also know a lot of people in my life that I would have loved to have given these to in practical form. If you are going through a breakup, dealing with some sort of loss, or someone you know is, I would actually recommend, because I think I made these with the intention of using them myself and drawing upon my own heartbreak and breakups and grief and friends, counseling friends as we all do through hard times. So yeah, if that resonates with you, get yourself a deck.